That was a mouthful. And I understand how it might be difficult to remember all of that. That is why we're studying. That is why we're studying. It's difficult to remember some details oftentimes. So that's why before your tests, you've got to revisit everything that was discussed in class. That's why you have to redo problems. You have to redo problems. If I'm studying for a test, I have to revisit problems where the answers have been given. Oftentimes, I'll look at problems we've gone together with my teacher in the class. Oftentimes, I'll look at old test problems that I've gotten correct. There are times where I'll do odd problems in the book. I'll do odd problems because in textbooks, oftentimes, the odd problems are provided. True story, one honor roll student I had a number of years ago got very upset with me. She had a stack of papers. She threw them on my desk. She says, Mr. Hendricks, you told me if I do problems, you told me if I did a lot of problems, I do well. And she didn't do well in that case. And it turns out what she did was she did a lot of problems. She redid a lot of problems, but she redid problems where she wasn't sure that the answers that she was coming up with were correct. So it's very important that you do odd problems where the answers are available. That way you are certain that when you're redoing these problems, you're studying effectively and efficiently, where the work that you're coming up, you're sure that the work that you're doing is indeed accurate. All right, so you study. That's the first thing. You study by redoing problems. The second thing I want to say is what not to do when you study. I shared with you what you should do is to redo problem after problem after problem. You redo problems. And now I want to share with you what you should not do. Don't do this when studying for a math test. Watch what I'm doing. All right? Okay? I remember doing that 2 weeks ago. Yep. That's what I'm going to do when I take the test tonight. Yep. I remember when that person did that on the board. That's not studying. Hey, if your parents say, hey, what are you doing? Don't say studying. Don't say studying. Tell them, oh, I'm just looking at a sheet of paper. That's what you tell them. But what we want you to do is we want you to study. And how do you study? One more time, you redo this problem. You redo it, and then you look at the answer. And then if you get the same answer that we got when you were in class, that's studying. All right? So the days for us saying that, hey, my child is a bad test taker. No. If our children prepare, and they study effectively, I believe they can do much better on their tests. I believe they can do much better. Now, I'm not negating, I know there's such a thing as test anxiety and nervousness and these kinds of things. I've experienced those things myself. But I've also discovered that the more prepared I am, the more that I've studied, the less anxious I am. And that's what we want to do. We want to make sure so that our students and our children are comfortable. All right? So, last thing I'm going to say is there's a stack of problems that I have after I've done my studying. I've done a series of problem after problem after problem. There's a stack of problems that I've done. And then there's a confidence level that I have that whatever the test is, I'll do well. Speaking of tests, let's go back to studying for the significant digits tests that we're acting as though we have tomorrow. All right, so let's keep going. Let's keep going. We've got this problem. We've got this problem here. We've got 3.14 divided by 0.62. According to our rules that we went through over here, when we have a decimal point, 3.14, all non-zero numbers are significant. Each of these are non-zeros. And then we said that any zero that precedes a decimal, any zero before non-zero numbers are not significant. That makes this zero not significant. So we have two significant digits for this number here. Our final answer should have the lowest number of significant digits, which would be 2. Let's put this in the calculator. We have 3.14 divided by 0.62, and we end up with 5. We end up with a lengthy answer, 5.0645. All right, so we only want 2 significant digits. So we got 5 here. There's a digit. We have another digit there. Those are all the digits we need for our final answer. Let's observe what to do with this 0 based on this 6 here. Because this is 5 or more, we're going to increase this 1 from 0 to 1, so we get to 5.1. Notice how we're getting the same answers that we got last week. And that's called studying. That's called studying. So now, look at this problem here. We could rewrite it if we'd like. Another way of writing this is 36.401 divided by 2.5. We did this a couple weeks ago. We did this problem by hand. But what we're going to do now is we're just going to use a calculator just to speed up this process. So we have 36.401. Let's divide 2.5. We get 14. Final answer, we get 5604. 5604. So you don't have to write out this lengthy answer. We talked about that last week. Not only don't you don't have to write out that lengthy answer, you don't have to ask your teacher, how many decimal places should I round this to? You don't have to ask your teacher that anymore. Just round it to tell your teacher you're going to round it to the correct number of significant digits. So we have 2 significant digits here. We've got 5 significant digits. We've got 5 significant digits here. We've got 2 significant digits there. Let's round it to the correct number of significant digits. There's a unit there. We got a digit there. So those are the two digits that we need. Let's look at this 5 to know what to do with this 4. If this number is 5 or more, we're going to increase this 1. If this number is below 5, you'd leave this digit the same. So because this is 5 or more, we're going to increase this 4 to 5 to get the final answer 15. Notice how we're getting the same answers that we got last week. We're getting the same answers that we got last week. This is called studying. Today, we're not only reminding you how to round the answers to the proper number of significant digits, we're also studying. We're showing you how to study for a math test.